Broadcasting live from the Capital OTB studios, this is Racing Across America with Seth Merrow.
We would like to thank Gulfstream Park for their sponsorship of this program and some of the other programming and events here at Capital OTB. Gulfstream Park's championship meet runs now through March 30th with high-quality action throughout, including the Florida Derby on Saturday, March 29th. Good morning and welcome to Racing Across America on this Saturday morning. I am Seth Merrow. Thanks for joining us. We're going to talk a little Tampa today. They have a really nice stakes day, kind of preview day for the Tampa Bay Derby afternoon coming up a little bit later on in the meet. But we'll talk about that with a couple of our guests a little bit later on. Caught up with Ian Wilkes yesterday. So we taped an interview. He's got two in today at Tampa, including one in the Sam Davis. And then we'll also talk, obviously, about Burnham Square last week, who looked very good, I thought, winning the Holy Bull. So we'll get a little update on what might be next and whatnot. That's a little bit later on. But if we want to talk Tampa, who better than our friend Ren Carothers? You see her in the pre-race commentary at Tampa every day. And I told her before we went on the air, I said, yesterday I was a little envious. Looked pretty good in the sunshine down there at Tampa in the paddock. Ren, good morning.
Good morning, Seth. I'm so excited about today's card.
I don't blame you. It is a very, very nice card. Before we get into that, I just been asking all my guests the last couple of weeks. A couple of weeks ago, the Eclipse Awards. Any surprises for you? And it was demonstrated when they put out the vote totals. It seemed like pretty much all the picks were kind of solid. I was a little bit surprised. Chad Brown, Ken McPeek got some support there for Trainer of the Year. And the male turf horse had a little bit of a close, but otherwise the votes were pretty solid. And I think, it was kind of a no-brainer. It was kind of also fun. Deserved it on the racetrack, but he had a little bit of a story at work as well with Ken McPeek, kind of putting the horse out there in front of the fans all year long. Torpedo Anna with Horse of the Year, I think, was a great selection.
Oh, absolutely. I wholeheartedly agree with that. There were no surprises. I guess I could have seen Trainer going to Kenny McPeek.
Yeah.
I mean, how often do you see it? It's a rarity to see an Oaks Derby double, right? I think that was quite a feat, and all he did for the industry with promoting, as you said, Torpedo Anna to the fans and everything. Although I thought Chad was very funny when he got up there and he said, "Hey, if you want to trade the Derby for the Eclipse Award, I'm game."
He said, "I nosed you. I got you a photo today, but I'll trade photos." That was good. And then I also thought Eric Asmussen with his acceptance speech for
wasn't that great?
Yeah, and then they cut to his parents.
Cash?
Yeah, that was good. Yeah.
Good. That was so good.
And I think people forget that, then they had Cash, who everybody realizes was a really good jockey, his uncle. But I think a lot of people forget his dad. You look at his dad now, it's hard to believe. But his dad was a jockey for a while.
I know. Isn't it something?
And it's the same thing, because I talk about it every once in a while to people who are relatively new to the game or newer than I am. People don't remember Wesley Ward actually won the Eclipse Apprentice years ago. And you look at him now and you think, wow, how'd that happen? But
a lot of our great trainers, right? I mean, Bob used to ride.
Yeah, that's exactly. Now that you mention it, like Rudy Rodriguez, and there are a lot of them out there that have started in the saddle.
Wayne Catalano used to ride horses for my parents back in the day.
Oh, that's crazy. I had a cat name. Very good. Did he ever cook him dinner? Because that's now his specialty on Twitter.
I'm waiting for him to cook me dinner.
We got to work on that. All right, let's jump in. Nice day of stakes, 4 stakes, but obviously the Sam Davis is the highlight. Again, it'll potentially lead some of these into the Tampa Bay Derby coming up a little bit later on. You and I were talking before we went on the air, and we'll have an interesting little discussion here because, again, I have Ian Wilkes coming up a little bit later on. He has Camp Hale in here. This is a maiden, but 3 second-place finishes. And I'm going to be interested to hear your take. Ian has some confidence. I'm taking a little pop with Treaty of Rome. It's Chad Brown, who, when he's been shipping over to Tampa this year, has been phenomenal. And Dylan Davis comes over to ride. I pulled up a replay, though, of a horse I think will take a lot of action. I pulled up a replay of John Hancock in the debut effort. Back in the early part of January. John Hancock will be the number 2 here. Again, first start of the career. Potent connections, Brad Cox, Windstar, China Horse Club. Owen Almighty comes out of the first under the finish line in the Pascal, eventually got DQ'd. The winner, the put-up winner was Naughty Rascal. Yeah,
I would have hit the pick 5 if not for that disqualification.
That's a bad beat story.
I was very sad.
No, I don't blame you. Yeah. Poster for Ian Hardy is also intriguing. But again, I'm going to use a little treaty of Rome. Talk a little bit about your thoughts on the Sam Davis.
Well, I mean, Treaty of Rome, he's coming out of that race, right, where he got beat just the neck by Guns Loaded going the one-turn mile there at Gulfstream Park. Well, Campiel also ran second to Guns Loaded. He was a little bit further back, but that was at 6 furlongs at Churchill, and just the second start of his career. And the thing with Campiel is, yes, he's a maiden, but you look at these fields he was in, and those are great horses. I mean, if you look at, the debut, he was beaten 3/4 of a length. Behind him, Patch Adams. Patch Adams comes back. He wins that maiden by 10.5 lengths, earns a 98 buyer figure, and then he goes and he runs 4th being 2.5 in the Grade 3 Southwest. And this is a horse who then went on, as we said, or as I just mentioned anyway, run second to Guns Loaded. In the very last start he had, that one-turn hook at Gulfstream, he was very gallant. He actually showed speed that day, dueled with Grande, who is an aptly named horse. That was the first-time starter for Rapoli Fletcher, giant horse, and they were just knocking heads down the stretch, and eventually Grande wore him down. So rail has me slightly concerned, but as we know, with Brian Hernandez, he can get a horse from the rail and do pretty well. Because what I'm hoping here, it looks like there's a lot of speed. So I'm hoping this horse can just rate back behind the horses. I hope there's a bit of a hook and cook right in front of him, and then he's right there to take advantage of it. This horse has got tremendous pedigree to stretch out. I'm so excited to see him around the 2 turns. He's by Motown. He's out of an awesome, again, mare. And this is the family. You see, it's with them. They bred and they own this horse. This is their family. I mean, this is the family of Fort Larned and Bayakoa, one of my favorite female race horses of all time. And so I just feel like this is a horse who's poised to do quite well here. I should also mention, going back to that Churchill race, there were 4 next out winners from that race, not just Guns Loaded himself. But I just feel like this is a horse that Ian has just sort of been like an artist, chiseling away and getting him ready for that grand masterpiece debut here in the Sam F. Davis. So he's the top pick for me. And then I really do think, I don't think we should count out Gerald Bennett, doing it for the home team here with Naughty Rascal. He's very keen on his horse. If you've read that article that recently came out on him and Naughty Rascal, he talks about how this is the type of horse you wait for. He really wants to win a Tampa Bay Derby. I mean, this is a guy who's taken the trainer's title at Tampa 9 times, and he's yet to win a Tampa Bay Derby. He said that this horse wasn't peaked for the Pasco, and yet he duked it out with that horse, and through those hot fractions. Bennett said that he thinks this horse is going to be better going longer. I mean, he's already gone 2 turns in that mile armed forces on the turf. But on the dirt, he says he thinks he's going to be able to relax more. So I don't think we're going to necessarily see him as part of that potential pace meltdown, and that he could be right there as well. And then I think Poster for Owen Hardy. Yeah, I mean, this horse, well-bred mom's she's not quite half sister. She's not quite 3/4 sister, but she is a sibling to Bernardini.
Ah, okay.
And so Poster, he's done nothing wrong. He's undefeated in 3 starts. I know that wasn't, a very fast Remsen. And he got up and he closed over them. I thought he looked super professional. I could see him rolling up for a piece of it in the end.
Yeah,
so that's the way I'm going in.
I had Poster right underneath as well, under Treaty of Rome. Owen Almighty, again, could be. I'm surprised you jumped right off the bandwagon after losing the pick 5 for Owen Almighty.
He was kind of erratic there, right? And maybe that was just the first start back in. He just, will be more professional today, second off the bench, those blinkers going on. Maybe John Hancock, like you mentioned before, super professional in his debut, except for that hop at the start out of the gate. I will tell you regarding him, he's a beautiful horse. He's not very big, but he gets over the
I saw you had a picture. They schooled in the paddock yesterday.
Yes. He's probably about 15 and a half hands. At least that's what he looked like to me, maybe. but he's beautiful. He's well conformed. He's got the AP Indy line eye, which is always cool to see. But the other thing I'll say about him, the foreman who was there with him told me that he was working and head with Hit Show.
That's interesting.
So, I mean, and he's also worked with Patch Adams as well, and holding his own against horses like that of that caliber. Hit Show, of course, being an older horse, won the Louisiana Stakes and some other races as well. So that's very encouraging for John Hancock. Windstar Farms won the most editions of the Sam F. Davis, and of course he's got Flavian Pratt aboard. And I mean, sometimes good things really do come in small packages. I mean, Northern Dancer wasn't a very big horse himself. He won the Derby, the Preakness, So I would say that this is a very impressive assembly of horses. For pari-mutually speaking, I think the race is wide open, so that's why I'm not going to settle for a price.
I like it. And again,
or short price.
We'll talk to Ian a little bit later, and he kind of indicated a couple of things you talked about. I think he's looking to maybe stalk and make a late run. Interesting that he gets Brian Hernandez, who's been on the horse in all three starts, comes in. The whole jockey scenario is interesting. Irad Ortiz back in to be on Owen Almighty. Dylan Davis, who has made the correct move to spend the winter in Florida. He's doing great over at Gulfstream. And Flavian Pratt last week, for people who weren't paying attention, he and Chad Brown had 4 entries on the turf last week at Tampa. Won all 4 of them, including 2 stakes. That was a nice day for them.
I know. Oh, yeah. I mean, I was stupid, and I tried to, at least in 2 of those races, I tried to beat him. Just because, what am I there for if I'm just giving you the chalk every single time, right?
No, I hear you, but it was, and there was two of those races were 2 really nice turf stakes last weekend at Tampa, but the other 2 were on the turf as well. So Flavian back at Tampa today. All right, let's go a little earlier. The Suncoast, Sam Davis for the 3-year-old boys, the Suncoast for the 3-year-old fillies, 1.40 yards. I pulled up a replay here of the Pocahontas last fall at Churchill. I think both of those fall meets at Churchill, you have to watch the 2-year-olds coming out. Not just the stakes races, but the maiden races and the first level allowance. So Lacara winning the Pocahontas attracted my attention. Now, subsequently ran 5th in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Filly. I'm going to jump back on her, though. Mark Cassie has just been going really well over the past month or so, or longer. Her laugh is interesting. Chloe, I'm assuming it's Chloe as opposed to Chloe, because the name Chloe has an H in it. So I'll see what Jason Beam
I've been saying Chloe. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, I don't know either. I'm gonna see what Jason Beam. I could have pulled up the replay and see what Pete Aiello did, but I think
you know what though. But like, see, that's the thing. People go, "Well, why don't you just listen to the replay?" I don't know. Sometimes the track announcers don't even know.
You're absolutely right, and I've had that verified by some track announcers that they are also like, I was just kind of going with the flow there. Junta, I think, is an interesting. You talked about Gerald Bennett and hometown runner, maybe in the Sam Davis. This one with hometown trainer, so to speak, and a Tampa-based horse. I thought the 5 was a little bit interesting. How did you see the Suncoast?
Well, real quick, I'll tell you something funny about it. So the 5 and the 6, Lacara, are from the same exact family. They're both third dam as Misty Hour.
Oh, wow.
And so this is the family to honor and serve, and Angela Renee, all these horses. So it's kind of funny because, the 5 only went for $75,000, yet she's from the exact same family as Lacara, who's a Grade 3 winner and all that,
Yeah.
I will also say regarding her maiden win there on December 24th, take in mind Christmas Eve, that was a day at Tampa where you had to be either on the lead or just off it. And she was just off it. And so I would just put that in the back of your mind in terms of in the stretch, how these horses were still able to open up more and not get caught by the horses coming from behind. So not to say that take anything away from that win. I'm just trying to, put that in a little perspective. Now for Lacara, she didn't really, I always hate to say, because everybody loves their horses. And so I always hate to say she really didn't beat anything in the Pocahontas. But I didn't think that field was particularly strong in the Pocahontas. That being said, she has been in and beaten some, good horses like Quick Kick. You see her having been in with Eclatant, or I can't say that horse's name, but you know who I'm talking about. But in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies, I do think she has a legitimate excuse. If you watch the replay back, she comes out of the gate and she kind of breaks over her toes, and that can kind of jar a horse. And so that race, I'm okay with drawing a line through. She's not my top pick. I picked her third. I'm going with Italian Soiree. I really think that she's been against some of the best fillies of her division, whether dirt or turf. Because Mayday Ready, she was in there against her. It was finished 2 3/4 lengths off Mayday Ready. Mayday Ready, as we know, went on and won the Jessamine, and then she ran that good second to probably the best now 3-year-old filly, but in the world in Victoria Lake. And then before that, she'd been in the Talma, and she was in with like Vixen and Nitrogen, and they've come out and done well. And, this is a filly, her first 2 dirt starts were sprints with Flavian. And so now she gets to stretch out on dirt, which the pedigree is obviously showing that she can do that. She did it on the turf. She can do it on the dirt, I think. I talked to John Terranova yesterday, and he says that they, originally they were trying to decide which way to go. Were they going to go turf or were they going to go dirt with her? They had entertained the idea of putting her in the sweetest pants. But he said she was training so well over our surface, because she's been at Tampa for a while, that they decided, no, let's go for the fun coat. And so I just think that this is a really nice filly, and she can step it up here. And I will also say she's got a full brother who is really good on dirt, beat better, put up a 96 buyer figure, scoring the 9 furlong Deputed Testimony Stakes. So it's not crazy to see, again, her shine here going 2 turns on a main track.
I really took a close look with the switch back to the dirt, the blinkers on. And yeah, that in the Talma, we were actually up covering Woodbine Mile weekend. And so we handicapped that, and we're up there for that race. I like Nitrogen at a big price, and it's the 16th. Yeah. Well, I thought, I'm there, and then got passed by Vixen. And as you say, over the last couple of weeks, both of those have come back to run very nicely and kind of validated what we were thinking that afternoon. But Italian, and Flavian Prot on board, certainly intriguing as well.
And I should be more clear when I say some of the best. Obviously, she's not been in against like Immersive or anybody like that yet, but
but nice.
Turf fillies have been very nice, very nice.
I agree. And on the Pocahontas, I tend to agree. I don't know how strong a field that was, but I give extra credit, particularly for a 2-year-old in a 14-horse field. That she had to kind of work her from the back of the pack and get her trip and whatnot. So I gave a little credit also. You don't see fields that size that often, and so I gave her a little credit for that. I'm going to be interested to see what she does, though, in her 3-year-old debut.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to the Minaret, 6 furlongs. This one for the fillies and mares. And we were talking before we went on the air. Sometimes you just got to wind up master of the obvious, and Bill Mott has Nick Style in here. I pulled up the replay of the City of Ocala. Nick Style will be the number 1 horse. 5 wins and 6 starts with the second place finish. It is Bill Mott. Junior Alvarado in for the ride again. I couldn't get past Nick Style. Just this race we're watching was impressive, and I don't see any reason why we don't come back and run well. Dazzling Blue is interesting. Ruthless Rua.
That's my pick.
Yeah, go for it. How did you see the Minaret?
Well, you're right. Nick Style is certainly the one to beat. Looks like she really enjoys putting the other fillies away. I mean, when she was in stretch last time, a junior made sure that she saw that she needed to put our disaster away. And he kind of like guided her to look at her. And she's like, okay, I see her. Yeah, I'll get in front of her. And she finished her off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But Dazzling Blue, making this Tampa debut here for Brad Cox. And she's being reunited with Flavian Pratt. He piloted her where she put up that career best figure in that Belmont Park start in the Grade 2 victory ride. And that was where she finished a length and a half the better of Vava, right? And we know how good Vava became. Vava, turned the tables on her and crushed her later. But my thing is this, and maybe this is me just wanting this to be a thing, but I feel like horses who have done well over Big Sandy do really well at Tampa.
That's interesting. Yeah. I could see that because it is a funny surface.
Yeah, exactly. And because we've got a lot of sand in our, so the fact that she put up a career best figure over Belmont, and now it's going to be, running here for the first time. I find it very interesting. I think, this is a horse that could be poised to step up on a surface that she might be like, oh, I like this a lot. And she's going blinkers on here. And so that's basically the long and the short of it. I mean, she's already, kind of battle tested. She's making a second off the layoff now after that head defeat to Autumn Evening. It's really not much more complicated than this for me.
And obviously, you're going to get a little more value than Nick's Style. It's interesting. I will note, again, we'll talk a little bit more about it with Ian Wilkes later, but he has sing a little song in here for his wife. And he was showing a little bit of confidence here and talked a little bit about, and then you look down, coming in with two really nice workouts at Palm Meadows. So if you look down and you get a price that she'll sing a little song, maybe worth taking a little pop, a couple dollars across the board or whatnot, because the more he talked about it, the more I thought, you know what, that horse is kind of interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, of course, we can't ignore Muccia either. On the outside, Gustavo Delgado. That was a nice win for her. Then that first off the layoff, it's just an optional 32, but she has graded stakes experience as a 3-year-old. But yeah, I mean, you really have to get through Nick's Style today. Yeah,
and let's move one race prior to start off the stakes action on the afternoon. Race number 5 is going to be the Pelican, 4-year-olds and up, going 3/4 of a mile. I pulled up a replay of Nutella Fella winning the Hopeful a couple seasons back at 54-1. That was coming off a career debut at Delaware. And at that point, Gary Contessa was kind of based at Delaware and made his move back to New York that summer at Saratoga, and bookended the meet with a couple of big prices in stakes action, including this Hopeful victory with Nutella Fella. Now, since then, third in the Woody Stevens last year, and then came back on the 11th of January to run second in an optional claimer. So lightly raced and gets the chance for the first time in a long time to put a couple together. Nutella Fella, I'm going to be paying attention to, but I'm going to take a little shot on top. Well, not a shot, second choice at 5-2 with Caramel Chip, who I think with Irad Ortiz on board certainly has some back races that are good enough. Life is Precious is interesting. Dreaming of Kona. What did you see in the Pelican?
I'm boring. I think Nutella Fella is the horse. I mean, if you watch the start of that race, the first start back, he broke well, but not long out of the gate. The horse that was to his outside just came swerving into him and knocked his hindquarters. And I thought that Nutella Fella was pretty professional in that he recovered really well. He kept his task. He settled. And then in stretch, and I think this is just a matter of having not run in so long, he didn't change his lead. He didn't change his lead. So I think second off the bench here because that was a long layoff. I think that he can really improve here. And I don't even necessarily think that he was completely cranked for that first start back. I think if this is sort of the goal, then that was maybe more of a tightener. And he should be really good here today. I mean, Caramel Chip obviously makes a lot of sense. You look at those company lines, it's very impressive. He finished fourth being just 2 in last year's edition of the Pelican. We have Sibelius and Mish and Nakatomi in that edition. But I also think to add in some value in the exotics, I would not be surprised if we see Silver Slugger jet out there on the lead under Marcos Meneses. And I'm actually going to call him Marcos the Mustache Meneses because he has a very impressive mustache kicking right now. I don't know how aerodynamic it is, but this horse, I know that he's just coming out of an 8-3 out, right? But think about it for a minute. They liked this horse so much originally that they debuted him against state competition. Something would have missed that way back there in 2022 in the Future Stars where they had to give him a lot of time off because he was eased out of the race. He comes back. He's done nothing wrong beating up on these lesser groups. I understand a 8-16, a 25 N2L, and now this 8-3 out. But Marcos, he has been really good at knowing when he's on these speed horses where they're lone speed and he has that advantage to get them out the gate, get as much room as he can get out front and play catch me if you can. A lot of the times we see sometimes some riders, and it drives me nuts, where they have that speed horse, but they invite other horses into the race along with them, and because they just let them clip along. No, Marcos gets them out there. He gives them space and room and makes those other horses work to come get him. And so I would not be surprised if we see Silver Slugger just jet on out there and still be able to dig in for a piece of it come that wire. So that's how I'm going to play it. I'm going to go Nutella Cell over Caramel Chip over Silver Slugger.
I like it. And if Silver Slugger wins, not to say that is going to happen, but I think even running in the money, a lot of people will be looking at 8,000 and thinking, why didn't we jump in? Why didn't we pick this horse up for $8,000?
Also, I mean, Silver Slugger, he's owned by Victor Martinez. You're not going to name him for Silver Slugger if you didn't think that he had some ability to start with.
And as you say, they were ambitious enough to start in a stakes race and had obviously problems there, but 3 for 3 since, and will be a price. So adds intrigue to the first stake on the card, and it continues intriguing throughout as we demonstrate with the conversation. I'm looking forward to the card today at Tampa. Tampa, one of my favorite tracks all year long, that and Oak Lawn. So these days really attract my attention. And as I say, when we talk Little Tampa, we have to talk to Ren Carothers. So, Ren, we appreciate the visit today. Enjoy the afternoon. We will be watching you. I'll be in handicapping all afternoon with cut-ins, so I'll be watching your pre-race commentary, and I will be living vicariously with the sunshine because we have a winter storm warning up here. You've had some weather down in Kentucky though too. But did I read the other day somebody tweeted out it was like mid-70s down there last week?
It wasn't bad. No, it was a very nice actually.
That's crazy.
Considering. But yeah, if you're watching, please let me know if my sunscreen is showing this time.
Well, I will give you the thumbs up or thumbs down. But you look great yesterday. So and again, I was living vicariously yesterday as well. But Ren, again, we appreciate the conversation.
Tampa Bay Derby.
That is always on my agenda. I keep trying to twist their arm here. We're going down to Gulfstream for the Florida Derby, and I'm trying to say let's work something on the other side of the state. So who knows? But we appreciate the visit, and we will certainly talk again before the meet concludes. So have a great day.
Oh, you too, Seth. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it. Ren Carothers, again, you can see her, the pre-race commentary every day down at Tampa. And yesterday was fun to watch her in the paddock. Again, a nice sunny day down at Tampa. As they say, we all live vicariously, particularly with that storm coming up here. Speaking of that, winter storm warning, it's so prominent. It was scrolling across my TV last night, starting tonight at 7 o'clock in our area in upstate. The winter storm goes through noon on Sunday. So just keep that in mind if you're out traveling tonight or tomorrow. Stay safe. But I bring it up because Meadowlands has canceled for tonight. So, and I know they were expecting weather down there as well, tied into what we're seeing. So keep that in mind. Meadowlands for tonight has canceled. All right, we'll take a break. As I promised earlier, yesterday we caught up with Ian Wilkes for a little conversation about his 2 runners in the stakes today at Tampa, but also Burnham Square from last week. Nice winner, the Holy Bull. I was very impressed with it. A 90 buyer, but as Ian will say, that's not the goal. We're looking to work up to maybe that first Saturday in May. So you'll hear all about the 2 today, Burnham Square, when we come back on Racing Across America. Ian Wilkes. Stay tuned.
Want to get your career in horse racing off to a fast start? Well, the University of Arizona's Racetrack Industry Program is your winning ticket. The Racetrack Industry Program has served as a springboard to some of the industry's most successful individuals, with a proven track record of job placement right out of college. If you want to earn a degree in the exciting horse racing industry, the Racetrack Industry Program can put you in the winner's circle.
Sometimes it pays to go with the flow, to check your worries at the door, to reconnect with your crew, to follow the thrills and the flavor, to roll with it and see where it takes you, to enjoy every minute to its fullest. and to dance like there's no tomorrow. You can do that here at Rivers Casino and Resort Schenectady, where the good times flow.
Happy to be joined now by Trainer Ian Wilkes. He has a couple in on Saturday in Tampa Stakes, but also we have to talk about last weekend in Burnham Square, certainly down at Gulfstream. Ian, good morning.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Happy to have you on. And again, you're in a couple of the stakes at Tampa on Saturday. Fun day at Tampa on Saturday over on the west coast of Florida. And let's kick it off because I think you have an interesting horse in the Sam Davis, and I want your thoughts. Sam Davis, a nice field in here of 3-year-olds, and you're bringing in a maiden, but a talented maiden, Camp Hale. We're going to take a look at the last start for Camp Hale, maiden special race, January 11th at Gulfstream. Number 1, Grande is going to win, but Camp Hale, the number 9, runs second. 3 straight second-place finishes. Going to be stretching out after a mile trip in that race last time out. Give us your thoughts on Camp Hale, and obviously you have some real expectations for the horse, having this one being a maiden and taking the shot in the Sam Davis. What are your expectations?
Yeah, he's a very talented horse. I've always, I still can't believe he's still a maiden. For now, he just run into someone better than him. I don't know if he really wants, like last time, he doesn't need to gun for the lead, don't need to be there. He's very adaptable.
And you can argue that the race 2 back, it was a 6-furlong race, but he kind of sat back and ran a good second to Guns Loaded. So maybe, what will be the strategy on Saturday?
I've got to leave it to Brian. I've got to leave it because we drew the 1 hole. But I think there's some speed tied on in there. Owen Almighty, Naughty Rascal. There's a few horses, and Brad Cox's horse, John Hancock. I think there's going to be some legitimate speed, and there's going to be some real stalkers in there. Daryl Bennett's horse will be a stalker. So I've got to leave it to Brian to figure out, judge the pace. Sometimes when you read a form and there's all this speed tied on, no one goes. So we have to be able to be adaptable and just play the break and just get into a nice rhythm.
Yeah, as a handicapper, I'm well aware of that. Look at all the speed in this race. And then they're about a quarter of a mile in, and it's like, where'd all the speed? Yeah, a little bit frustrating. But, yeah, and you have Brian Hernandez on board. He's been on board in all 3 of the starts so far. I would guess that shows a little confidence from the jock to go down to Tampa as well.
Exactly. After his last race, I said to Brian, I may even stretch him out and go to Sam Davis. And he said I wouldn't hesitate. So that's always gives you confidence when, Brian was on board with it as well.
And give us some thoughts on that. It will be a stretch out, first time to the 2 turns. The replay we watched was a mile, but at Churchill, that's 1 turn. So the mile and a 16th on Saturday, going to be the first time at 2 turns. How do you think he's going to handle that?
I think it'll suit him because he's definitely going to get a 2-turn race is very different than a mile race. A mile race can be tough on some horses, but I like the 2 turns. I'm excited to try it, and yeah, I'm really excited to try it.
And the morning line's 20-1. I as I say, I'm intrigued. I may take a little pop if that holds up. I think he's going to be a fun horse on Saturday for sure. And it's that time of year, right? As a trainer, if you have a 3-year-old you think is live, you have to take your shot in spots like this.
Yeah, it's he's a gelding, so I've got nothing to lose. You know what I mean? And
yeah.
If he makes it, he's already gelded like Burnham Square. Both are gelded, and we'll just see what he can do. See if we're good enough. To me, I think he fits in there. I don't think he's a 20-1 shot. I think he fits very well in this race.
Yeah, when I saw the price, I also thought, but I'm going to be interested to see what he eventually goes up at. Wish you a lot of good luck there in the Sam Davis. A little earlier on the card, you have one in the Minaret, 6 furlongs for the fillies and mares. we're going to go back to a win for Sing a Little Song. This goes back to Ellis in July. Sing a Little Song is going to be the number 5 horse here, getting a victory again last summer. Has had some starts since then, has been in the mix a few times and out of the mix in others. Last time at Churchill ran 6th, but it was on a muddy track. That was in November. So this is the 4-year-old debut. I see owned, family owned, so I'm sure you have some high hopes. But give us your thoughts for Sing a Little Song on Saturday.
Yeah, probably got the toughest owner in the world owning this one, probably my hardest one. I don't know if I can ever please her. But yeah, all jokes aside, the filly, she's an honest filly. She probably tailed off a little bit last start. She's been going pretty hard. I freshened her up, and I've been very tickled with the works. I was going to run her in an allowance at Gulfstream, but the race never filled. So this was a logical step for her to give her a shot, let her have the way she's trained. I think she'll run good in here.
Yeah, I'm just looking. You've been working her at Palm Meadows, and back two works back, a minute flat, second best at 22, and last time 59 and change, second best at 20. So there are no bullets showing there, but those were bullet-like works.
Yeah, and the thing about it, she did it very easy. Those works. It wasn't like I was hard pressed to do it. And her last work, she worked with a horse called Una Mas Bourbon, who is turned into a nice handicap horse, and they both work very well together. So I was tickled to death with it.
Yeah, again, 15-1 on the morning line, but another one that I thought was a little bit intriguing. So we wish you a lot of good luck Saturday, tomorrow at Tampa in a couple of stakes races. But now we have to go back to last week. I do a little thing for our social media pages, top 5s during the week, and last week or earlier this week, I did top 5 performances last weekend by 3-year-olds. I put Burnham Square on top. I mean, Citizen Bull certainly looked great and got a good number, but he seemed to have the trip that he wanted. Whereas Burnham Square was, stepping out of the maiden breaker and right in this Grade 3 Stakes company, I thought looked really good. We're going to watch the replay here of Burnham Square winning the Holy Bull. Gets a 90 buyer figure. Talk a little bit about your expectations coming into the race, taking the shot, going right out of the maiden breaker into this Grade 3, and what you came away with the race with.
Yeah, going in, I felt good, because the horse had trained well. One of his biggest assets, is he doesn't get tired. He gets stronger as the race goes, and coming off with the blinkers on and going into the maiden the way he broke it, I think it was the most logical step to go here is to go in the Holy Bull, give him a shot. And what I like about it, I love it. He didn't just have a cozy trip up on the lead. He overcome some adversity, And the good thing is he took a little step forward in his numbers. I don't need a giant step forward yet because I'm not where I want to be yet. We all want to be at our peak in the first Saturday in May. So right now I'm just letting him come along. I'll run him back in the Fountain of Youth and then and most likely the Florida Derby after that. Just he needs more education. He needs a little more seasoning. And hopefully each race we get a little bit better. Not a giant step forward each race, but just a little bit better where we can go into the Derby, if we make it, at 110. That's where I want him. Mm-hmm.
Very good. And I heard you making comments like that after the race, and I agree totally. We're early in February. You don't want your best shot now. Yeah. You want to work towards it. And so I thought it was a nice progression. And let's go back, because you've kind of alluded to it. And in the post-race articles I read, you commented quite a bit about the addition of the blinkers. And we're going to go back and we're going to take a look also at the maiden breaker. Again, 2 starts back, December 28th down at Gulfstream. Burnham Square is going to be the number 1 horse. This was with the addition of blinkers after a couple of okay starts earlier in the career, a close-up second, a close-up third to start things off, but those were without the blinkers. Talk a little bit about the decision to put the blinkers on and how pleased you must have been with the maiden breaker with the blinkers added.
Yeah. Well, the first race he ran, he's running away, wouldn't run in the dirt. It was only 6 furlongs, but come closing, got beat half a length that day. And then I give him the benefit of the doubt, just his first start. And I run him back 2 turns at Churchill. And I thought, boy, I really liked him that day. I thought he'd be very tough to beat. And then I feel bad for Francisco Arrieta. He said, the half mile. He said, I've been riding him. He said, I'm going nowhere. He said, I can't get him going. Couldn't get him going. Yeah. And he just was not running into the dirt, shying away from horses, just not going forward. I said, well, I know what because on that race, we get beat 3/4, 50 yards off the wire with 4 in front, So the key is, the key, I had to put the blinkers on. Because that's what I had to do. That was the important thing was the blinkers. I had to put the blinkers on. And it just made him more tractable, and he races inside the horses. Even his last time in the Holy Bull, he was able to push a horse out instead of, where before he would shy away from them and not help the jockey. This way, he was able to help the jockey to get into a position where he can win the race.
Yeah, it really is kind of interesting to, for folks who are new to the game. This is a perfect example of what a difference an equipment change can make. I'm always curious the nuts and bolts on the trainer side of things. Did you try him in the morning before racing with the blinkers? And now when you go out for an official workout, does he wear the blinkers in the morning now?
Yeah, I did put them on. You always want to make sure that they like the blinkers, but sometimes I've seen before, I'll put blinkers on horses and they didn't like it, and they're not the best thing for them, but I put them on him. And yes, I will put him on. Depends on the type of work I want, where I'm at with him, what I want to do, how I want him. If I want him a little more focused or, he'll go out and I can work him and he'll work good without him, so it's not ever necessary. It's more being around the other horses in a field, running into the dirt. Yeah.
Talk a little bit, same ownership, Witham Thoroughbred, same ownership as Camp Hale Saturday in the Sam Davis. Talk a little bit about the ownership group.
Mrs. Witham, Janice Witham, Clay, the family, Barth, Stewart, they're tremendous people. They've been in the barn since 2004.
Nice.
They come in. Then when I took over from Carl in 2006, they stayed with me. And so it's going on to be 21 years this year. And Mrs. Witham, everyone would remember Bear Collar. That was the Withams. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Nice to be teamed up with a group like that. So the game plan is Fountain of Youth. You've made a decision?
Yeah. Go to the Fountain of Youth. He's come out of this race really well, actually. Probably come out of it better than he went into it. So I'm happy with him.
Oh, nice. Yeah, very good. Yeah. And you mentioned Carl Napster, and I was going to ask you because I was watching an interview you did just within the past week or so, and you mentioned Carl. And, you guys had a great relationship for a long time, but you say you still have a great relationship and essentially see him every day with your situation down in Florida.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah, no, we're still together. I come in, he's done guy I work for. When he was training, I bought into the training, the partnership with him. And now he's still a partner with me, and it's the longer I can keep him around, you don't have to do much except go up and, as he says, he's my Monday morning quarterback. He tells me what I did wrong.
Very good. And of course, there was that iconic, video of Carl and Mrs. Gentner at the Derby, and he had a great career. And so I'm sure it's very nice to get a little Monday morning quarterbacking like that. Ian, we really appreciate the conversation this morning. Again, wish you a lot of good luck Saturday afternoon at Tampa, and really wishing a lot of good luck proceeding on the Derby Trail, hopefully with Burnham Square. Again, I was very much impressed last weekend. So appreciate the conversation, and we'll talk again.
Okay, mate. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Ian Wilkes, again, a couple of nice runners Saturday, a couple of intriguing runners Saturday down at Tampa. And again, on the 3-year-old trail, Burnham Square looking really good last week in the Holy Bull.
Want Want to get your career in horse racing off to a fast start? Well, the University of Arizona's Racetrack Industry Program is your winning ticket. The Racetrack Industry Program has served as a springboard to some of the industry's most successful individuals, with a proven track record of job placement right out of college. If you want to earn a degree in the exciting horse racing industry, the Racetrack Industry Program can put you in the winner's circle.
Sometimes it pays to go with the flow, to check your worries at the door, to reconnect with your crew, to follow the thrills and the flavor, to roll with it and see where it takes you, to enjoy every minute to its fullest, and to dance like there's no tomorrow. You can do that here at Rivers Casino and Resort Schenectady, where the good times flow.
Welcome back. Where was the countdown? Let me turn down my TV as well. But welcome back. Thanks to Ian Wilkes for taking the time again. We taped him yesterday. And I'm going to be interested to see what Camp Hale does this afternoon to Sam Davis. As you heard earlier, and again, thanks to Ren Carothers for joining us today as well. She likes Camp Hale. And I find the horse interesting at the morning line price for sure. And then as I've looked at social media the last couple of days, Camp Hale has gotten mentioned a couple of, so it's going to be interesting to see what that one can do this afternoon. If you are going to pay a little bit of attention to Tampa Today, I looked up the leaderboards last night, and no surprise, Sammy Camacho, as far as the jockey, 7-win lead over Sam Marin. Sammy Camacho currently with 51 wins at the meet. Marin with 44. Then it's a jump down to Antonio Gallardo at 22, Jose Ferrer at 20, and Sonny Leon, the Derby winner from 2022 on Rich Strike, sits in 5th place. Pablo Morales, Dan Centino up in that top 7 as well. Familiar names down there at Tampa. But again, Sammy Camacho in the lead. Over on the trainer side of things, Kathleen O'Connell, who was the meet leader last year, has a pretty good lead. Still plenty of meet to go, but a 6-win lead. Kathleen O'Connell with 24. Juan Arriagada with 18. My man Mike Deeney, 13, tied with Juan Avila. And then in the 5th spot, perennial top trainer down there at Tampa, Gerald Bennett. Chad Brown, believe it or not, Chad Brown's in the top 6 with 11 wins. Couple of trainers tied just underneath with 10, John Arnett and Kevin Rice. So, again, some familiar names in there. But Chad Brown up in the top 6 amongst the trainers down at Tampa. And no surprise, really. He has started less than the others, but he's winning at a 41% rate. So Chad Brown started 27 horses at Tampa so far and won with 11 of them, 6 seconds and 4 thirds. So 21 in the money of 27 starters. That's one of the reasons I took the shot with the Chad Brown horse in the Sam Davis today. He's just going blockbusters down there. All right. Dave Grenig had an article in the Racing Form updating the situation at Belmont Park, updating, the progress being made with the new Belmont Park. Article was just a couple of days ago. Seems like, because there were a couple articles about this, so it seems like I think Naira had maybe a little tour for the media earlier this week. And Grenig says the foundation for the new smaller building was poured about 3 weeks ago. They expect the first pieces of steel to be put in starting in March. Work on the 4 racing surfaces is moving along, and they're installing drainage and irrigation that will offer kind of an upgrade of what had been there. as far as those points. Glenn Kozak, the Vice President of Operations and Capital Projects, says he's hopeful that once April rolls around, they'll start putting down the sod for the turf courses. And they expect that to offer we're going to have a mature turf course by the time we get on it. I mean, if they get it down in April, the track isn't officially scheduled to open until September next year. So there would be a nice year and a half for, the root system to take hold and whatnot. But as Grenig said, with those kind of timelines involved, Grenig writes what that likely means is the 2026 Belmont Stakes and its supporting stakes will be held at Belmont. Now, he throws the caveat in that hasn't been an official decision made by NYRA, and they have floated the option of having that Belmont Stakes meet at Belmont, a little short meet there, and then you're up at Saratoga and or over at Aqueduct for a brief period, and then Saratoga, and then they open officially in September. But again, the real possibility is out there that the Belmont Stakes will once again be at Saratoga next year as well. But again, not officially. It's officially there this year, as I've already talked to a number of people who have put their name in the hat for tickets and whatnot. But next year is a possibility as well. Let me talk a little bit about some of the racing today that we haven't talked about because we've done some Tampa discussion. And I want to toss out there race number 2 at Aqueduct today. And let me give you post times as well with a nice card at Tampa. Tampa will go off at 12:05. Gulfstream will go off at 12:20. Aqueduct will go off at 12:40. And Oaklawn kicks off at 1:05 today. And I mentioned it earlier, Meadowlands, with, again, we in upstate New York are expecting a storm to kick in about 7 o'clock tonight. And I think it's going to cover a wide area that I would assume is the reason why the Meadowlands is canceled for tonight. So keep that in mind if you enjoy the sulky side. But race number 2 at Aqueduct today is the Damon Runyon state-bred 3-year-olds going 7. We're taking a look at to see Sand Devil, who sooner rather than later may be on the Derby trail. Sand Devil, interesting runner for Linda Rice, won the career debut, very nice, then was smashing in the follow-up optional claimer non-winners of one other than both of those were for state-breds. They came out of that race and were kind of, where do we go? You have a nice state-bred, you're in great shape because you can point for those state-bred stakes races, or you can try Open Company, and this will be a horse that will try Open Company. Again, Dave Grenig article in the Racing Forum talked to Linda Rice. She was actually considering the Withers last weekend, but she's quoted as saying, if we had better weather, I could have trained him more aggressively into the Withers. So again, with the weather situation, she just didn't feel she got the training in to make that race. So she'll take the shot here, and why not? It's $125,000. Horse is still very lightly raced. This will only be the third start. Going 7 furlongs, cutting back for the really nice one-turn mile win last time. Take a look, because this will be a horse to maybe keep your eyes on the Derby trail. And Linda Rice said, if all goes well today going forward, they'll aim for the Grade 3 Gotham on March 1st, and then the April 5th Wood Memorial as well. So again, they will step into Open Company potentially sooner rather than later. So that's race 2 today at Aqueduct for Sand Devil. Also did want to mention down at Oaklawn this afternoon, scheduled to go off, what about 5:25 our time? It'll be race number 9 at Oaklawn, the Bayakoa. Potentially leads into the Apple Blossom. Field is 6 in here. Corningstone is interesting, coming off the win in the Pippin earlier and the win in the Mistletoe. Has gone down to Oaklawn this season, made a couple of stake starts for Ken McPeak and won both of those nicely. And so Corningstone is very, very intriguing, but loved for Brendan Walsh off the win last November in the Falls City at Churchill, makes the seasonal debut. This is a half sister to Maxfield, so Loved, I think, is for me the one to beat. But Corningstone, little Jamie is maybe intriguing, free like a girl. Again, a field of 6 scheduled this afternoon. The Bayakoa at Oaklawn. And as I said, it'll go off at about 5:25 our time. All right, let me hit you with what's coming up here via promotions and events and whatnot at Capital OTB. Today, it's a Fan Appreciation Day at the East Greenbush branch. That's on Columbia Turnpike. Stop by. Give us our chance to say thank you to you for your patronage out in that direction. There's always a fun array of things to enjoy on Fan Appreciation Day. Food, some free stuff, vouchers and PPs. There's always a contest. You can win a little extra something on a Fan Appreciation Day. But as I say, most importantly, give us our chance to show our appreciation for your patronage. That's this afternoon, East Greenbush Branch, Columbia Turnpike. Coming up here at the Clubhouse Racebook tomorrow, Sunday, every Sunday through the month of February, the King of the Hill contest. See if you can be the King of the Hill tomorrow here at the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue in Albany. All right, I'm going to wrap it up. Seth Merrow on a Saturday edition of Racing Across America. Fun morning. Again, thanks to Ren Carothers and Ian Wilkes for jumping in and letting us focus a little bit on the Tampa action. Nice stakes card down there this afternoon. And again, that will kick off at, where did I write it down? That will kick off at, I believe, 12:05, I think I said earlier. And now I don't know where I wrote it, but 12:05, I am being confirmed from the control room. But where did I write it? Well, it doesn't it doesn't matter. All right, going to wrap it up for Racing Across America today. Again, I'll be back in with the post time at Belmont and whatnot. That the NYRA pregame may be running, so I likely won't jump in until that ends. But we will be back in this afternoon to take a look at plenty of this action. As usual, I'll have a little Aqueduct and Gulfstream, but also Handicap Tampa Today. Always should remind folks, if you're not aware, if you go to capitalotb.com, click on the handicapping link and then handicappers report, nice printable page. And I've handicapped all 3 of those tracks for the OTB one sheet at the website. Brian Nadeau every day has a nice matrix of Gulfstream picks, so you can pull that up, as I say, a nice printable page to use as you're sitting at home playing, or if you're going to come down here to the racebook, you can print it up as well. The handicappers report one sheet, most racing days via capitalotb.com. All right, let's wrap it up. Again, Seth Merrow on a Racing Across America for Saturday morning. Really appreciate your tuning in. Don't forget, back again in an hour or so with racing action for a Saturday afternoon. We'll see you then. We would like to thank Gulfstream Park for their sponsorship of this program and some of the other programming and events here at Capital OTB. Gulfstream Park's championship meet runs now through March 30th with high-quality action throughout, including the Florida Derby on Saturday, March 29th.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off-Track Betting.